Hello everyone. Let us study very interesting prose named Justice Above Self by Munshi Premchand. About the author Munshi Premchand. Dhanapat Rai, better known by his pen name Munshi Premchand, was born an Indian writer famous for his modern Hindi-Urdu literature. The writer is mainly recognized for his creations that always contained a social message and raised a voice against the social evils prevailing in Indian society. Munshi Premchand was born in 31st July 1880 at Lamhi, Varanasi and died in 8 October 1936 at Varanasi. Interesting characters in this story: Juman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary and Juman's aunt. Let us study the story Justice Above Self. Juman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary were good friends. So strong was their bond of friendship that when either of them went away from the village, the other looked after his family. Both were greatly respected in the village. Juman had an old aunt who had some property. This she transferred to him on the understanding that she would stay with him and he would look after her. The arrangement worked well for a couple of years, but thereafter the situation changed. Juman and his family were tired of the old relatives. Juman became as indifferent to her as his wife, who grudged even the little food that the old lady needed for survival. She swallowed these insults along with her food for a few months, but patience has its limits. One day she spoke to Juman. "My son, it is now obvious that I am not wanted in your house. Kindly give me a monthly allowance so that I can set up a separate kitchen. My wife knows best how to run the house. Be patient," said Juman shamelessly. This made his aunt angry and she decided to take her case to the village panchayat. The old lady went about meeting people, explaining her case. Some sympathized with her, others laughed at her, a few others advised her to make it up with her nephew and his wife. At last, she came to Algu Chaudhary and spoke to him. "You know, Chachi, Juman is my best friend. How can I go against him?" Algu said. "But is it right, my son, to keep mum and not say what you consider just and fair?" pleaded the old lady. "Come to the panchayat and speak the truth," she said. Algu did not reply, but her words kept ringing in his ears. Now you have some vocabulary words in this part. Let us see what is the meaning of those words. Bond. Another meaning is strong connection. Swallow, tolerate. Grudged, gave unwillingly. Obvious, clear. Allowance, which means an amount of money given regularly. Sympathize, which means feel sorry for somebody. Mum, quiet, silent. Let us study next part of this prose, Village Panchayat. It is a basic, a first formal democratic institution at the village level. The panchayat was held under the banyan tree. The chairperson of this unit is called as Sarpanch. It is the primary unit of local self-government. Gram Panchayat is a cabinet of the village elders directly elected by the adult citizens of the village. The panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. Juman stood up and said, "The voice of the punch is the voice of God. Let my aunt nominate the punch. I will abide her decision." "I nominate Algu Chaudhary as the punch. The punch knows neither enemy nor friend," stated the old lady. "Fine," replied Juman, hiding his joy over this unexpected piece of luck. "Chachi, you are aware of my friendship with Juman?" said Algu. "Yes, but I also know that you will not kill your conscience for the sake of friendship. God lives in the heart of the punch, and the voice is the voice of God." And the old lady explained her case. "What you have to say in your defense?" asked Algu to Juman. Juman narrated how his aunt transferred her property and how he promised her to look after her as long as she lived. "But of late there have quarreled between my wife and aunt. Now my aunt is claiming a monthly allowance from me, which I can't pay. That's all I have to say." He concluded his submission. After consulting others, Algu announced, "We are of the opinion that Juman must pay his aunt a monthly allowance, or else the property goes back to her." Now the friends were seldom seen together. The bond of friendship was broken. In fact, Juman saw Algu as an enemy and wanted to take revenge. Let us see the vocabulary words in this part. Nominate, which means propose, suggest someone's name. Abide by, which means accept. Conscience, which means something that tells you whether you are right or wrong. Defense, something said in support. Claim, which means deemed as right. Seldom, rarely. Revenge, another meaning is something made to make somebody suffer. Let us move on the next and the last part of this phrase. Days passed, and ill luck would have it, Algu Chaudhary was in a tight spot. He sold one of his bullocks to Sanju Sahu, a cart driver of the village. The understanding was that Sahu would pay the price of the bullock in a month's time. It so happened that the bullock sold by Algu died within a month. Several months after the death of the bullock, Algu reminded Sahu of the money he had not yet paid. "I can't pay you a penny for the wretched beast you sold me. He brought us nothing but ruin," Sahu said angrily. Algu decided to take the case to the panchayat. The panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. Algu stood up and said, "The voice of the punch is the voice of God. Let Sahu nominate the head punch. I will abide by his decision." Sahu saw his chance and proposed the name of Juman. Algu's heart sank and he turned pale. The moment Juman became the head punch, he realized his responsibility as a judge and the dignity of his office. Could he, seated in that high place, have his revenge now? He decided not to allow his personal feelings to come in the way of speaking the truth and doing justice. Both Algu and Sahu presented their cases. Then Juman stood up and announced, "It is our opinion that Sahu should pay Algu the price of the bullock. When Sahu bought the bullock, is suffered from no disability or disease. The death of the bullock was unfortunate, but Algu cannot be blamed for it." Algu could not contain his feelings. He said loudly, "Victory to the panchayat! This is justice! God lives in the voice of the punch." Soon after, Juman came to Algu, embraced him and said, "Since the last panchayat, I had become your enemy. Today I realized what it meant to be a panch. A panch knows no friend or enemy, but only justice. Let no one deviate from the path of justice and the truth for friendship or enmity." Algu was also in tears. His tears washed away all the dirt of misunderstanding between them. Now let us see the vocabulary words in this part. Annoyed, slightly angry, wretched, extremely annoying, beast, which means an animal, ruin, another meaning something that causes loss, proposed, suggested, realized, which means become aware of, dignity, another meaning is respectful manner, disability, which means physical weakness. Let us know the note of this lesson. Justice Above Self is translated from Hindi into English. The story revolves around two best friends, Juman and Algu. It deals with their roles as the Sarpanch in the village panchayat and how one changes as soon as he or she is delivering justice. Thank you for watching.